Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is that you're listening to this. I'm going to go ahead and bring this up. This is just after all this BS that's been going on since President Trump bombed Iran's nuclear uh, production sites, I just went ahead and decided to just write this post explaining to people what Trump is all about. Well, not explain, but remind people about what Trump is all about. And this is, I wrote, make sure I'm sharing. Yes, I am. Getting a good position to read. All right. Let's get back over here. Donald Trump's refined vision, a beacon for global peace and prosperity by Sammy the Squirrel. In a world often fractured by conflict, economic uncertainty, and diplomatic posturing, one leader has consistently championed a pragmatic, strength based approach to international relations. President Donald J. Trump, while critics have painted his foreign policy as erratic or isolationist, a closer examination reveals a remarkable consistency, a vision rooted in prioritizing American interests while fostering global stability. Far from being a departure from his earlier stances, President Trump's approach in his second term is a refined evolution of his first, offering the world its best hope for a peaceful and prosperous future. Through his efforts to remove the United States from endless wars, bring troops home, secure the remains of fallen Korean War soldiers, and secure the release of hostages without ransom, President Trump has demonstrated a model of leadership that balances resolve with restraint, strength with diplomacy, a consistent philosophy: America first, a stronger world. From his 2016 campaign to his second term, President Trump's foreign policy has been guided by a simple yet profound principle: a strong America is the foundation for a stable world. His America First doctrine is often misunderstood as isolationism, but it is better described as a rejection of overreach. President Trump has long argued that the U.S. should not serve as the world's policeman, a stance he articulated in 2019 when he declared it was time to get out of these ridiculous, endless wars and bring soldiers home. This wasn't a call for retreat, but a demand for strategic focus, fighting only where it benefits America and doing so decisively. This philosophy hasn't changed, it's sharpened. In his first term, President Trump avoided initiating new wars, a feat not achieved since President Ronald Reagan. His second term has seen bold actions, like the 2025 strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. These were preemptive measures to prevent a larger conflict, not as steps towards prolonged war. President Trump's address following the strikes emphasized that Iran's nuclear sites were completely and fully obliterated, urging Tehran to choose peace or tragedy. This is not the rhetoric of a warmonger, but of a leader who uses strength to deter, not dominate. Ending wars, bringing troops home. One of President Trump's most tangible achievements is his commitment to ending America's involvement in prolonged conflicts. During his first term, he scaled back U.S. presence in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria, reducing troop numbers significantly. In 2020, he ordered a drawdown to 2,500 troops each in Afghanistan and Iraq, shifting focus from nation building to counterterrorism. While critics argued this risked instability, President Trump's logic was clear. American soldiers should not die solving ancient conflicts in faraway lands. His second term has continued this trend. President Trump's 2020 West Point speech encapsulated this vision. The job of the American soldier is not to rebuild, well, quote, the job of the American soldier is not to rebuild foreign nations, but defend our nation from foreign enemies, unquote. By prioritizing America's vital interests, he has freed resources and lives from quagmires, allowing the U.S. to project power more effectively elsewhere. This approach resonates globally. Nations respect a country that respects its own limits. Honoring the fallen, North or Korean War remains. Dang it. President Trump's respect for America's military extends beyond the living to those who made the ultimate sacrifice. A poignant example is the success of securing the repatriation of remains of U.S. soldiers from the Korean War, 1950 to 53. My dad served in that war. Following the 2018 Singapore summit with North Korea leader Kim Jong-un, North Korea returned the remains of approximately 200 American soldiers, a gesture Trump hailed as a step toward reconciliation. This was not merely symbolic, it fulfilled a moral obligation to families who had waited decades for closure. The summit itself, where President Trump became the first sitting U.S. president to meet a North Korean leader and to step on North Korean soil, was a diplomatic gamble that paid off. Despite skepticism from the intelligence community about North Korea's denuclearization promises, the agreement included commitments to recover and return soldiers' remains, demonstrating President Trump's ability to extract tangible results from adversaries. This achievement underscores his broader strategy, engaging directly with foes to reduce tensions while honoring America's past. Hostages freed without ransom. Perhaps no aspect of President Trump's foreign policy better illustrates his blend of strength and pragmatism than his approach to hostage situations. Unlike predecessors who sometimes paid ransoms or made concessions, President Trump has consistently refused to reward hostage taking. Instead, he leverages diplomatic pressure, economic sanctions, and the threat of force to secure Americans' release. In his 2025 inaugural speech, he announced that Middle East hostages were returning home, a testament to his behind-the-scenes negotiations. President Trump's method is clear. Make it in the captor's best interest to release detainees. During his first term, he secured the release of Americans held in North Korea, Turkey, and Iran without paying ransom, often using personal diplomacy and targeted sanctions. For instance, in 2018, 3 Americans were freed from North Korea following Trump's summit with Kim Jong-un, with no reported concessions. This approach not only saves American lives, but also deters future hostage taking, signaling that such tactics will yield no profit. A refined vision for global prosperity. President Trump's foreign policy isn't just about avoiding war or securing American interests. It's about creating conditions for global prosperity. His first term saw the Abraham Accords, Historic peace agreements between Israel and several Arab states, brokered without U.S. military intervention. And the Abraham Accords are getting better and better every day now. These deals reshaped Middle Eastern dynamics, proving that economic and diplomatic incentives can achieve what decades of conflict could not. In his second term, President Trump has continued to prioritize economic strength as a tool for peace. His 2019 trade deal with China, which was the phase one trade deal, which ended an 18-month trade war, demonstrated his belief that economic independence reduces conflict. By strengthening America's economy through tax cuts, deregulation, and energy independence, President Trump ensures the U.S. can lead by example, encouraging other nations to prioritize prosperity over aggression. The world's best hope. President Trump's critics argue his actions, like the Iran strikes, risk escalation. Yet his supporters, including Republican lawmakers and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, see them as decisive steps to prevent worse outcomes, like a nuclear-armed Iran. The truth lies in the results. No new wars, fewer troops abroad, honored fallen soldiers, and freed hostages. Posts on X reflect this sentiment, crediting President Trump with reshaping global diplomacy through strength and de-escalation. President Trump's vision isn't about American dominance, but about a world where nations respect each other's sovereignty and pursue mutual gain. His refusal to engage in forever wars, his commitment to bringing troops home, his reverence for America's fallen, and his principled stance on hostages show a leader who understands that peace requires strength, not submission. As he navigates complex global challenges from Ukraine to Iran, President Trump's refined approach, consistent yet adaptive, offers hope, not just for America, but for the world, but for a world weary of conflict and craving prosperity. All right. I'm going to pull this down, do a little talking here. That's 12 minutes. Well, 13 minutes go around. 13 minutes. It's just me reminding everybody, like, hey, don't freak out on the headlines. Remember what President Trump has already shown us, how he reacts to these types of situations. He's always, what is that dang puff there again? Drives me mad. Ugh. I may end up shaving my beard off. First time in over a decade. Anyways, just remind people of what President Trump has done in the past, and that's how he's going to handle it currently, but with a more educated and refined vision of how to accomplish it. I mean, Trump's no fool. He knows he's a man. He knows he's a human. He knows he makes mistakes. But the difference between Trump is he's willing to admit he makes mistakes, and he's willing to correct the mistakes he's made in the past. Trump used to be used to be a Democrat. Now he's a Republican. Trump used to be pro-choice. Pro-choice. That was, women have the right to choose what happens to their bodies. Now he's turned completely to pro-life. I mean, people are allowed to change their minds whenever they realize new information changes the dynamic of how they thought about a topic like abortion. President Trump, I even actually, it's a woman's choice. But hey, that was until something happened in my life where a girl went behind my back and had an abortion, knowing full well that I wanted to have a child with her. But anyways, that's another story in personal life. Don't really need to get into. Um, I think I just figured out why this part is always puffing out. I'm always doing this. That's why. Okay, I get it now. I got to stop that habit. Um, but yeah, remember how Trump handles things. Don't let these headlines fool you. Don't let them scare you. There's not going to be World War III. There's not going to be a dirty bomb. They may release some radioactive isotopes into the atmosphere just strong enough to trigger the alerts, the warning systems, uh, to create panic and cause, panic and havoc. But I don't see them being stupid enough to actually detonate a full blown dirty bomb in either New York or LA or some major, Democrat controlled city, because there's no way they can get away with it in a Republican controlled state and city. So it'd have to be either California or New York or Oregon or Washington State. One of those places will be the place to get it. There's absolutely no way they'll get any kind of radioactive isotope close to Washington, D.C. I mean, those things, we can sense them with our new sensors, man. I mean, they give off specific signatures, and in order to block all of it, that little case carrying just a few micrograms of it would end up weighing like 150 pounds from being lead shielded, because it's so dangerous. It would be a person wouldn't make it who's transporting it. He would die of radiation sickness beforehand. Anyways, yeah. If there is any kind of dirty bomb, I believe it'll be just enough radioactive isotopes to be put into the atmosphere to trigger the alerts. Stop it. All right. I guess I'm going to end that there. It's 17 minutes. Y'all have a great and blessed day.